Welcome to The Search for Wellness, a podcast dedicated to discovering the path to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Join us on this heartfelt journey as we share inspiring stories, insightful conversations, and practical tips to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Hi guys, welcome back to The Search for Wellness, Season 2. I am so humbled by all your love and your support to make this journey possible, to make this season even happen and make the Season 2 even happen. So thank you so much for all the love and support. As I walk around Nairobi, honestly, I have gained so much faith in what I'm doing just by listening to how this podcast has impacted so many of you and how you all have come up to me and made these changes in your life to support your own well-being. So thank you so much for your continued support. On to the episode now. So today's guest again is surprise me. And the reason I actually decided to make this episode was because I really wanted to talk about this in more detail. And I have had a lot of people even actually suggest that I talk to you about this in a bit more detail. And today's episode is all about meditation. I actually became a serious meditator last year in June when I went to Cancun. For my week-long advanced retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I'm just going to step into what happened. I kind of did it in reverse. As usual, I do everything in reverse. So I'm going to go very quickly with all the information because I don't want to lag around. I want you guys to really understand the focus of why I chose Dr. Joe Dispenza as the person who has helped me and guided me in my meditation journey. So I went to Cancun last year in 2023 June with my mom and my sister, who both of them also had no idea who he was. I had read a little bit from his book last year, and then I had followed him a little bit, and I had tried to use his meditations once or twice, but I could just never sit with it. And then one of my dearest friends actually went for his advanced retreat in London, and then she suggested that I should try and go for a retreat, and maybe that way I can get more into it. And then she also was the one who suggested Cancun, as she said that Cancun was the best retreat. So I decided to go to Cancun. The day came and I booked my mom and me and my sister. I mean, my mom did get a ticket, as you guys know from my previous episode, but then she came there and she manifested a ticket. Before we went to Cancun, we had to finish this progressive online course, which was really intense. And I'll be very honest, I found it very difficult to do this progressive online course and to just sit there, because when you're at home, you kind of like, and there's no one there to like give you that, you have to do this, and your mind is always like distracted and going into different places. And you're like, oh, but I have this to do today, you're always looking for excuses not to focus on your meditation. But going to Cancun was the best decision of my life. The best decision I could have ever made was going to Cancun. And the reason for that was because going to Cancun, I had nowhere else to be. I had no excuse now. I was done. Like, I had to be there. And I loved how Dr. Joe actually used to keep reminding us, like, you guys are here. You have nowhere to be. Don't make any excuses now because you are committed to being here. So use this time to make sure you keep this commitment and you keep your focus on this retreat. So the first day, we started in the evening, and we decided, me and my mom and my sister, to sit separately so that we could really connect with people and really understand the meditation and maybe share our insights in the evening. So I was sitting next to some people who had been for the meditation a couple of times or maybe more, and they were and there was a group of people dancing in front at the stage, and it like turned into this nightclub. And I was like, what's going on? And one of the ladies turned around and said to me, by day 3, you'll be dancing over there. And I was thinking, no ways, that's not happening. And then I was like, okay, he made us, like, he introduced himself. He did a little bit of, like, he gave a short lecture, and then he made us do a short meditation. And that day I just couldn't sit into it. Before going to Cancun, I had actually could barely sit in a meditation for 20 minutes without my mind wandering, without me getting fidgety and stuff. And now I can happily say that I can sit for an hour and a half in a meditation, which is amazing. And it's because of the power of the mind and the way he explains everything, the way he makes you understand everything. So that was the first day. The second day was really grueling. It was really difficult. Cancun, it was like boot camp, like meditation boot camp. You had no time to eat, no time to sleep. You had to report into the ballroom by 6 in the morning. You had short breaks for lunch and for snacks, and then you were done at 8 p.m. It was quite exhausting, but at the end of the day, you still had all this energy, which was so bizarre. I had a lot of energy. I had a lot of energy. And you just felt so amazing. And your frequency was lifted, and everyone was feeling so amazing. Day 3 is when we went and we did our first walking meditation. I think that was day 3. So we woke up at sunrise. He told us, watch the sunrise. So now this is 2,000 people in Cancun on a beach doing a walking meditation. We looked like zombies. We literally looked like zombies walking around. So when we were as soon as the sun came up, then he told us, we have to start our walking meditation. And that was the day I was sold. That was the day at 9 o'clock when we went back into the ballroom, I was up there dancing with everyone. And that's the day that I heard my song, my favorite song. So I was literally up there dancing with everyone, and that was it. That's when I knew that I had left the old me behind, and this was me stepping into the new me. The walking meditation is probably my favorite one, and this is why I highly recommend going for an advanced retreat. But let's push the brakes on the advanced retreat, because honestly, it's better to do the progressive retreat first, or do the progressive online course if, not like me, you can commit to actually being there doing the course. And so I did it in reverse, and then I went to Barcelona for the progressive retreat. And the reason I did it in reverse was because I really wanted to get my husband into it. And so it was my husband's birthday, and this was my gift to him. And I asked him, I said, please, I would really like you to get into this, because it has changed my life, and I really want to gift you this change in your life too. So he said, okay, let's go for the 3-day retreat. I'll try it out. And if I like it, then next year we can go for the week-long. So he's completely sold. He absolutely loved it. And now he's also a meditator. I can proudly say he is also a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditator. And yes, next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, we are going to go to Cancun for the week-long again. There are many week-longs, by the way. You don't have to actually go to Cancun. I personally just wanted to go to Cancun because it was on the beach and it was just nicer to be in Cancun. And the hotel was really nice and everything was just really nice in Cancun. In Barcelona, it was also absolutely amazing. There were actually 3,000 people in Barcelona, so it was more people in Barcelona. The one that he does in Basel in Switzerland, he has 8,000 people, which is insane. So you can imagine the power this man has, right? He's not a normal soul. He's not a normal person. He's not a normal human being. And you will see that if you actually went for his retreat, because to be able to hold space for 8,000 people, there's definitely some sort of spiritual and magical power that you have to be able to do this. And he's such a humble human being. When you hear his lectures, when you see him in person, he's actually quite funny too. He makes you laugh a lot. But he is such a humble human being, because even though he does all of this, he has no ego behind it. He is so authentic in what he does, and he genuinely wants to help. Now, why I chose Dr. Joe out of everyone is because he actually backs everything up with science. He says the minute you bring in spirituality, the minute you bring in religion, you've lost half the people. But the minute you back things up with science, then everyone is interested, because the minute you have scientific backing about it, everyone is going to be interested in learning about this. So what I love about him is that he actually does experiments. He has these scientists. He has a huge, information. He has everything. If you go on his website, you would see all the information about all the scientific experiments he's been doing. So on a week-long retreat, what he does is he asks people, whoever wants to be part of the trial, and he will ask you for your gut microbiome, so a stool sample, he'll take your blood tests, and then basically in 7 days, he has seen people's change their whole genetic pattern, which is mind-blowing. I mean, their gut microbiome changes in 7 days. Their blood changes in 7 days. Their whole frequency of the body changes in 7 days. And if you ask that person, they'll tell you that the person who came 7 days ago, that's not me anymore. That's the old me now. I'm in a new body now. I'm a new human being. I'm a new person. He says that we can create a pharmacy of chemicals in our body just with the power of our mind. And I totally believe that. And I absolutely agree with what he says, because if you think about it this way, the power of the mind, which is obviously the placebo effect, right? We know there is something called the placebo effect, that if you were told that this medicine is going to work on you and the doctor convinces you that if you take this medicine, you will feel better, you will take it and you will feel better. And then he'll give you the same medicine again and you will keep taking it again. And then 2 weeks later, if somebody by chance replaced that medicine, it looks exactly the same, but replaced it with a sugar pill and you took it, you're still going to feel better. You're still going to feel that because your mind has convinced you that this is medicine and this is going to help me. But there's also something called the nocebo effect, which he also explains in his lectures. And the nocebo effect is where you take something but it has a negative response in your body. So if you can work and understand the placebo effect, then you can actually manifest anything and everything you want in life. His meditations are so profound. I'm just going to read you something else that I'd actually read and stumbled upon in a book that actually proves this theory of the placebo effect. It's quite an impactful thing that I read. Can you imagine circumstances where the loud dripping of plain water into basins sets beneath your bed frightens you to death? There is a book called The Lost Art of Healing, and its book is written by Nobel laureate Bernard Lau. And in this book, they did this astonishing experiment on in 1936 in India. They did this experiment on a prisoner who was condemned to be hanged to death. Now they gave him the option of either being hung to death or having his blood let out, because this would be gradual and relatively painless. The victim agreed and was strapped to the bed and blindfolded. Unbeknownst to him, water containers were attached to the 4 bedposts and drip buckets set up below. Then, after light scratches were made on his 4 extremities, the fake drip brigade began, first rapidly, then slowly, always loudly. As the dripping of water stopped, the healthy young man's heart stopped also. He was dead, having lost not even a drop of blood. That is the power of the placebo effect, which is crazy. I'm going to read you another one. This is actually me reading something, actually quoting Dr. Joe from his book, The Placebo Effect. It is nauseated before the needle. According to the National Cancer Institute, a condition called anticipatory nausea occurs in about 29% of patients receiving chemotherapy, when they are exposed to the smell and sight that reminds them of the chemo treatment. About 11% feel sick before their treatment and they actually vomit. Some cancer patients start feeling nauseated in the car on the way to get chemo, before they even set foot inside the hospital, while others throw up while sitting in the waiting room. A 2001 study from the University of Rochester Cancer Center, published in the Journal of Pain and Symptom Management, concluded that expecting nausea was the strongest predictor that patients would actually experience it. The researchers' data reported that 40% of chemo patients who thought they would get sick because their doctor told them that they probably would get sick after the treatment went on to develop nausea before the treatment was even administered. An additional 13% who said they were unsure of what to expect also got sick. Yet none of the patients who didn't expect to get nausea got sick. How can it be that some people become so convinced that they will get sick from chemotherapy drugs that they get ill before any of the drugs are even administered? Is it possible that the power of their thoughts could be what's making them sick? And if that's true 40% of chemo patients, could it also be true that 40% of folks could just as easily get well by simply changing their thoughts about what to expect about their health or from their day? Could a single thought thought that a person accepts also makes the person better? So imagine if your thoughts can make you sick. Could those same thoughts not make you better? Have a think about it. We're always leaning into the negative. We're always running into that fear. We're always running into that belief system, the one that we've always believed. And that's the one that we go back into. So the other thing that's really amazing about Dr. Joe's retreats is that he asks you, there's a lot of lectures. So there's meditation. So there's about 3 or 4 meditations during the day. But in between, there's a lot of lectures and a lot of explanation. And he'll keep explaining himself again and again. And he'll keep repeating himself again and again until you get the information, until you get grilled with the information. He also explains how each and every meditation works, because all of his meditations are guided meditations. So before you go into the meditation, he will tell you, let me tell you how this works. And then he'll explain how it works. Now, while he's giving the lectures, in between, he'll just surprise and he'll be like, all right, turn to the person next to you and explain to them exactly what I've said. And then at that point, you're like, okay, wait, did I even understand what he said? Maybe hopefully the person next to me understood, and then they can explain it back to me. And the reason he does that is because when you repeat what somebody else has said is when you know that it's actually embedded into your system and it's embedded into your brain now, and you have understood it. And then he can gauge people really well. So he understands when people haven't got what he's saying. And the minute he knows people are nodding their heads, he's like, okay, I see heads nodding. So now I know people have got the information. And then he moves on to the next. And that, I think, is really important in a situation when it comes to meditating, is why do we meditate in the first place? What are we gaining? Just sitting with your eyes closed and listening to your own breath or listening to some peaceful music, yes, that's all fair and good, but you have to be of some sort of high-level meditator to be able to even do that, right? So I truly believe that his meditations are amazing, and the guiding that he gives before each and every meditation is so beneficial, because then you really tap into your meditation. You really try to understand your meditation. He has a lot of different types of meditations, and most of his meditations are sitting. So you can be sitting on the ground or you can be sitting on your chair. He has some lying down meditations. There's one called the Electric Body, which is my absolute favorite one. That's a lying down meditation. He has his walking meditations, which are amazing. There's one called Blessings of the Energy Centers. So you're working with your chakras. He calls them the energy centers, and you're focusing that energy and just realigning them. And that one has actually helped a lot of people heal from very small, very simple things, even like, the ringing in your ear. What is it called? Tinnitus. And he has countless. He has one of the heart, blessing the heart, blessing the brain, connecting, opening the heart, opening the brain. And the other thing that he does is he always says that you have to feel the emotion. So you have to feel the emotion. For anything in your life to come true, you have to feel the emotion. So what will it feel like if you had that car? What would it feel like if you had that dream home? He wants you to bring that feeling in. So you want to open your heart. You want to draw that feeling towards your heart. And then you want to create and manifest with your brain. So he wants you to connect your heart to your brain, because your heart is the one that thinks fast, and then your brain is the one that actually calculates and perceives. So you want to first draw the intention in through the heart, and then from there you want to connect to the brain. You want to bring that emotion in, you want to send that emotion to the brain, and then you want to send the signal out through the brain. So you want to draw in the emotion through the heart, and you want to send the signal out through the brain. I am paraphrasing him, by the way, so I might not even be saying this as accurately as I should be, but listen to his lectures, follow him, you will understand it a bit better. Obviously, he is the best at explaining all of this stuff, a lot better than what I'm doing. Actually, I'm probably not even doing it any justice at all. Well, I hope I'm doing it a little bit of justice, because he is honestly, like, you know how people get so excited when they see their favorite celebrity? For me, that's him. He is my favorite celebrity. And if you ask any of my friends, and they'll be probably laughing if they're listening to that, they will all be nodding right now at this very moment because I talk about him probably on a daily basis. Even my husband will be laughing if he hears this moment. So that's also a really nice thing that he says. And then the other thing is the fear of the unknown. So becoming nothing, nobody, no one. He says you want to become nothing, nobody, no one, no thing when you are in your meditation. So you want to be in a very comfortable situation, very quiet, very dark place, so that you can disconnect from who you really are, disconnect from this body, and so really go deep into your meditation. And it's so funny because in life, all the time, we've always been told to become somebody, to become something, to become someone, right? And in order to actually really deeply heal, you want to become nothing, nobody, no one. And only there is where you find deep meaning and you find connection to source. What we mean by connection to source is there is a higher source. We know that there is a higher source. Maybe call it God, maybe call it the universe, maybe call it whatever we like, but we definitely know that there is a higher source. And I believe that we are like, there is this magnet, and we are like these particles, part of that magnet, that are like just detached. And when we become nothing, nobody, no one, those strings, there's an attraction, there's a connection that pulls us to that magnet. And then we have those aha moments. And those aha moments are your mystical moments where you really go deep within, you really become nothing, you really become nobody, you really become no one. And that's where the true healing happens. That's where the transformation happens. And this is why he has countless amount of miracles that have happened at his retreats, and I have seen them in person, live. I have seen these healings happen. Blind people start to see. People who are blind from birth start to see. And when he talks about it, you're like, yeah, whatever. People who have had like stage 4 cancer, no cancer in their body has been detected. I was at the advanced retreat in Cancun, and then we did this thing called a initiation, he calls it. So we had a meditation that was 4 hours long. We woke up at 3 in the morning and we had to report into the ballroom at 4 in the morning. And he said that if you leave in those 4 hours, then you don't come back in. Otherwise, you stay there through the 4 hours, and that he called it your initiation to become a healer. And it was amazing. I didn't believe that I could do this, but I did it. I did the 4-hour-long meditation. It was absolutely amazing. And then after that, that same evening, he made us become healers. And then there were these other people who are called Healies. Those Healies are the ones that are very sick people who have come to his meditation in hope to be able to heal. And now what he talks about, and listen to be careful about this, is something called coherence healing. Coherence healing is when all the people at the same time are doing something at the same time, coherently. And he talks about these wipers, when everything works in the body coherently, when everything moves at the same time, in the same frequency. So all of these healers, we walk around and he gives us this meditation to do, and then he splits us into groups of 8 or 10 people, and then we are sitting all around these people who are lying there on the floor, and we have to keep our eyes closed and we have to heal them. We have to send them this coherence healing through our hands, through the palms of our hands. And it is magical. That is where you see real magic happen. I mean, this is not pseudoscience. This is real science happening. And one of my really good friends who I made friends with in Cancun, Courtney, we were trying to be in the same group, but when we were split, she was in the group behind me and I was in the group in front of her. And then at the end, we met and we were standing outside and we were talking. And this man, he was on a wheelchair and his wife was wheeling him out, and a lot of people had already left. And he got up and he started jumping. And then he started running, but really fast. Like, I was like blown away. I was like, okay, what's happening now? I didn't even have time to get my phone out and take a video. I was like, what's happening now? And he just started running really fast. And everyone just started cheering him on. I even have goosebumps just talking about him right now. Everyone just started cheering him on. And he had severe Parkinson's. He had not walked for I don't know how long. he was on the same flight back as me and my sister and my mom. And so we managed to actually have a conversation with him. So me and my sister went up to him and we were like, we saw what happened. I said to him, I was like, I was standing there and I saw what happened to you after the coherence healing. And I said, what made you think that you could do this? What made you stand up? What made you run? What made you do all of this? And you know what he said? He said, I just felt this surge of love come into my body, and all I wanted to do was dance and jump around, and I knew I could do it. And just because of that coherence healing. Now, it was just so magical to physically see something like this happen. Like that night, I was so high, like I feel like I could not even sleep that night. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. This podcast was created to inspire and connect with people. If you are liking the content of this podcast, hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and share this platform. Lots of love. So the other thing with the coherence healing is that he has created this online platform actually where people who are very sick and they want their loved ones to get this healing from Dr. Joe, he has a group of people, and you can actually become like, I can actually become part of that group. And what you do is you become part of this group, and then when you are in this network, you get sent the picture of the person and the name and the detail, and you get told what time and day that you are supposed to send healing, and then you go into this, you visualize that person, and you can actually send healing. And they've done scientific research and studies to show that even if you're not physically with that person and in that same room, you can still send them healing. I mean, that's just the power of the energy and the frequencies that we carry in our bodies that can do that. And when you heal, and this is something that I learned from him, is that when you heal somebody else, you heal yourself too. So people who are healing someone else, you're also healing yourself. So it's really important to understand that when we give, we get back tenfold, right? And as humans and as a society, we have always learned to take. And there is so much more joy in giving than in receiving, because when you give is when you get actually rewarded. And this is one of the reasons I actually started doing my gong bath, and I started doing the gong meditation. And if you ever come for my gong bath, I have even mentioned that in it, is that the reason I started doing the gong bath was because I wanted to heal myself. And for me to heal, I knew that I needed to heal others. So when I heal others and I see the magic happening in them, I know that I am healing and I am on the right path of healing too. So thank you for that too, guys. Another thing that I wanted to speak about that I haven't actually spoken about or covered yet is that he talks about neuroscience, he talks about quantum physics, he talks about energy healing, and he talks about manifestation. And all of that together, you can see from all his research and from all his studies that all of that is possible, and that we are in this quantum field where all the possibilities lie. And his own journey is a proof of that, when he actually really suffered a really horrific accident and he healed himself. And then after that, he's seeing other people healing themselves, healing after healing after healing after healing, and all of this magic happening. It's just so amazing that what he is doing is so amazing. And I honestly really request all of you to really check him out, to just Google him. I'm going to put all of the information down here in my with his website, the books that he has written, all the information you need. I'm happy to share with you any of the information you would like. When he did the first world walking meditation, I hosted it at the studio, and we had such a good turnout. We had 100 people come there and do this walking meditation, which was so amazing. And I'm just so happy to be part of his community and to be part of this circle and to be part of this healing platform, because honestly, what he is doing and what he is giving us is absolutely amazing. And talking from a price point also, it is actually really reasonable. Like the progressive retreat in Barcelona was $500. The one in Cancun is a little bit more expensive, but you're there for a week. It's $2,000, but you're there for a week. And the most expensive thing was actually the flight to Cancun, was not even the retreat, was not even the hotel. It was the flight for me to Cancun and back because we live so far away. So another option would be to find another retreat. He does many of them, and you can find something that has a direct flight or has a closer flight. Maybe one day we can bring him here to Kenya. Let's manifest it. I'm going to manifest him sitting here right next to me on this chair, and we're going to have him here one day, hopefully share all of his information and all of his beautiful knowledge that he has. I think that Dr. Joe has really, really helped me. And this is why I decided to share all this information today, so that you can find the same healing and the same help through his work. And, you know, you don't have to actually even go for a retreat. If you really understand, read his books, do his course online, and really understand what he does, you don't even actually need to go for his retreat. Some people even talk about this thing called a mystical experience that they have in his retreat. And some people have had that without even being in his retreat. And that usually happens when he does this breathing exercise. So there's an exercise that he does where he makes you hold your breath and connect all the way up and take your breath all the way up to your pineal gland. And your pineal gland is right in the center of your brain. And he shows you the video, and he dissects the brain and he shows you exactly where your pineal gland is, so you understand exactly what part of your body it is in. And the taking the breath through the pineal gland, and he calls the pineal gland the radio receiver. So when you take your breath through the pineal gland, you can actually open up the pineal gland and you connect to source, and you have this thing called a mystical experience. I think I had a very small mystical experience just before we did the coherence healing, and I felt something happen to my body, but then then we had to go inside and it stopped. And actually I was quite grateful that it stopped, because I was a bit scared of what was happening to me. I will also tell you a little story about, do you remember in the beginning of season 1, I had spoken about I had these weird joint pains that would just come all of a sudden. I have done a lot of work in regards to those joint pains, and I can't really pinpoint for sure what has 100% helped me. I also did my meditations. I did my walking meditations. I did my manifesting meditations. I've done all of these meditations to try and help heal my joint pains. But there was this one particular moment when I was in Diani in December, and I was doing my walking meditation. So again, I woke up at sunrise, I watched the sunrise, and luckily our villa was on a private beach in Diani. And I started doing my walking meditation. And at one point in the walking meditation, you have to stop and you stand with your eyes closed. And you're standing there for about 15 minutes with your eyes closed. And then you open your eyes and then you start walking. Because what he says is, fine, close your eyes and stand there with your eyes closed and all of that. But walk the walk, right? Talk the talk. So bring that, whatever you are doing with your eyes closed, into your life, into your reality, into your present life, and being in the present moment. You're not going to find anything in the past, and you're not going to find anything in the future. What you are going to create and perceive for your future is only going to come in the present moment. My mom has spoken about the present moment before also, how it is a gift, it is a present, and just being in that present moment. So at that point, I was so in the present moment. I became nothing, nobody, no one. And when I opened my eyes and I was walking into the new me, I looked down at my feet and there was a crab sitting on my foot. And I was like, ah! And then I tried to not let it get me out of my meditation. And he walked off my foot, but then he started walking with me. So I was doing my walking meditation and this crab was walking with me. He didn't go away. He just stayed there and he walked with me. And then finally he went away. And I feel like the crab sitting on my foot was some sort of a signal or a sign that I had kind of moved beyond that wave and moved beyond that curve of those joint pains. And touch wood, since that day, those joint pains have gone, and I feel them very, very, very lightly, if at all, now. So I'm really, really grateful and thankful to Dr. Joe. Yeah, so if there's anything that you guys want to know more about this meditation, please comment on this video, share, like it, subscribe to it. I will share all the information again. I know I have mentioned that already, but I will share the information again. And I just really wanted to make this video to just share with you guys all the stuff that I have learned and how becoming a meditator and following Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is what has helped me heal and has actually helped me sit in a meditation and really connect to source and really become nothing, nobody, no one. And this whole going from known and going into the unknown has been possible only because of him and only because of his guidance. So I'm really, really grateful to Dr. Joe, and I hope that he is listening to this podcast. And I hope that one of these days I'm going to have him sitting here, or even if it's an online conversation, but I hope one of these days I will have the opportunity to actually speak to him in person, because he has made a huge impact in my life, and I hope he can do the same for you. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to this episode, and lots of love.